fishing with Captain Darren Schaff and our two guest chefs, Brian Katz of Redfish Grill and Brian Landry of Galatoire's. The hunt for redfish in August. Normally, the dog days of fishing in Louisiana, and a hot sun, high tide, and hard wind won't make it any easier.
We got a little northeast, well, north-northeast wind. It's supposed to be a southeast wind. We prefer southeast, it blows that clean water in. But it is what it is. There's a thunderstorm back there, and I think that's why it's blowing out of the north the way it is. But we'll see what happens. Hit a couple more spots. Try and find some clean water, because the water's definitely off-colored.
Dirty water means unwanted callers on the fishing line. But catfish removal is just one skill for the successful fishing boat captain. Finding fresh shrimp is a must for summertime fishing, as is the technique of proper baiting. Which way do you go, through the head?
Yep, right through the head, right under the horn. Just like that. So we can do that. So we can pop around.
Being able to throw a long and accurate cast is another necessary skill. And having eyes in the back of your head while the fisherman next to you throws their cast, that comes in handy too.
A couple of days ago they had a couple of reds and drum tailing up in this shallow pocket. You could see them, the tails were out the water. I don't see them right now, but they may still be in there. The water's a little higher than it was the other day.
Our first real fish is caught, but there's a small problem.
Too little. He would be very good eating, but not quite long enough.
So another cast goes out in search of his bigger brother. Chef Katz has hooked a black drum, a cousin to the redfish, but he too might be vertically challenged, so we'll have to see if he measures up.
He's a little short.
One more for the water, one less for the ice chest. But Chef Brian wastes little time in attracting another black drum. This one looks a little bigger, but Captain Darren has to be careful. He can ill afford to take any chances by keeping even just one undersized fish.
See where he's got to go to?
Mm-hmm. Is that a keeper?
That's a keeper. Not by much, but that's a keeper.
Brian, you scored good. You're the man.
So far. Scoring first don't always answer the question. Just ask the Giants when they played the Saints last year.
We'll see. Our other chef, Brian, scores his first black drum. But like the previous ones we've caught so far, it too has to measure up.
It really is.
Size, after all, does really matter.
16 and an 8.
Ooh, yeah, he made it.
He makes it.
True puppy drum, huh?
Yeah.
Right back to where I was. See if we can catch his brother. There we go. Our first keeper redfish lands on the boat and will soon land on some lucky person's plate. Hopefully mine.
Maybe about 20 inches.
Brian caught that one.
Good job.
That's the advantage of having two Brians on the boat. We can take credit for each other's fish, too.
Up next on Bait to the Plate.
I'm Brian Landry from Galatoire in New Orleans. We're here today cooking blackened redfish.
That's next on Bait to the Plate. This is Bait to the Plate.
So I'm Brian Landry of Galatoire, and we're here today cooking blackened redfish. We're going to make that somewhat unique by topping that with a trio of shellfish, cooked with a little garlic and green onion. Of course, you want to start with fresh caught Gulf redfish, caught here in Louisiana. We're going to blacken that with our house-made Creole seasoning, and the only difference between making it at home and buying it in the store is probably the amount of salt. We don't really add any salt to our blackened seasoning, which is why you'll see me add a little more on top. You know, but everybody's got their secret blend. You know, for at home, I think Paul Prudhomme's Kitchen Magic is one of the best blackened seasonings on the market. Again, finish that with a little salt. We're gonna actually broil our redfish today. So I have a little clarified butter here. I'm gonna put that on our little sizzle pan. And we're gonna season up, make sure our redfish gets a good amount of clarified butter on both sides. We're actually just gonna stick this right into the broiler, just like that. We're gonna let that broil for about 8 to 10 minutes, depending on the thickness of the redfish fillet. So our broiled redfish has about 4 minutes left, so now all we need to do is heat up our shellfish garnish. So what we have is a little clarified butter going into a hot skillet. We have a little minced garlic, not a lot, just a little pinch. We want to be careful here just to get the garlic translucent. We don't want it to brown at all. It can start to get bitter. So just about 10 or 15 seconds. We're gonna add our boiled shrimp, crawfish tails, and of course our blue crab, all three of which are from Louisiana. Add a little green onion and a tiny bit of Creole seasoning. And again, all three of these are already cooked, so we don't need to cook it anymore. We just need to warm them through. So once that skillet's nice and hot, you can turn your flame down low and just warm these seafood through. Put just a couple of drops of Meunier. Our redfish is coming out of the broiler. So we have our blackened redfish fillet. Slide that right onto the plate. So we have our 3 kinds of shellfish. So we just drizzled a tiny bit of Meunier sauce on that. Keep everything bound together. Blackened redfish, topped with our 3 types of Louisiana shellfish. Shrimp, crawfish, blue crab, finished with a tiny drizzle of Meunier. Doesn't get any better than that.
Galatoire's recipe for blackened redfish with 3 shellfish toppings and other recipes featured on the show can be found by visiting our website at baittotheplate.com. Coming up on Bait to the Plate, the drumbeat continues as we return to fishing with the Chef Brian duo. That's next on Bait to the Plate.